Today on The Necessary Entrepreneur, we welcome Nick Papas. Nick is the fourth generation CEO of Papas Candies right here in Covington, Kentucky. Papas Candies started with humble beginnings, one man with a dream. Papas Candies have been a family-owned and operated business for over 60 years through 4 generations. Nick started working as an employee after college, cooking candy, and was always eager to learn how things worked. In 2018, Nick was able to buy the family business. Now Nick and his cousins are tasked with the daily operations of running a small business and making candy with the same recipes in small batches, folding tradition and care into every bite. During the conversation, Nick and I discuss pride, paying employees more than yourself, dealing with turmoil, what to do when you're stuck, calculator risk, and finding a mentor. We also dive into manufacturing versus retail, giving back to the community, coast mode, as him and his uncle call it, of working for someone else, and the origins of their awesome tasting opera cream. Stick around as Nick tells us his top 3 favorite Papas Candies products. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe. Comment below if you would. Find out more about Papas Candies and order online at their new website, papascandies.com. I hope you love this conversation as much as I did. So I appreciate you stopping in today, man. There's been a lot of people that come through the studio, some local, some national. I love personally when we have a local conversation with somebody local. I mean, when people ask where we're from, if you say Northern Kentucky, they're like, what the heck? So we're like, we're from Cincinnati.
Right.
However, your business that you're running now is a 4th generation business that was right here in Covington, Kentucky, which we could probably see if we wanted to go up on top of this building. We could kind of look down.
Yeah.
You just came right up the hill, didn't you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you came in, man. I don't think it's good that we were raised on sugary things, but I was raised on a lot of these things, man.
Yep.
And so how cool is it that your last name is a part of the thing of these Papas Candies that so many people locally and nationally just love, dude?
I mean, I don't know the cool factor. I just it's more of a pride factor for me. You know, like when I first started working for my uncles and receiving a paycheck, it was, you know, you're our employee, but we kind of can trust that you care a little bit more than just Joe Schmo off the street, because that's your name on the building, on the package. You're here to help us build this brand more than what it is. So like I said, it's not so much of a cool factor for me. It's just pride in the fact that everywhere my kids now are seeing, Dad, that's your candy. That's your candy. I'm like, yeah, dude, you guys come down and help me pack the packages. Yeah. And like, so they're starting to get it now too, where it's pride in the way you can carry yourself and be proud that that's something that is local in here. And you might not know person next to you drinking at the bar, but as soon as they hear that you make candy, oh my gosh, I love those things. And they're your best friend. Mm-hmm. So, and that's how, when I would go everywhere with my grandpa, that was his interaction. Was he knew, it felt like my uncles and my grandpa knew everybody, but it was more or less that they were fans of what they did. And that's how they knew them, was because they made candy and was like, hey, can you bring me a box of this? Can you bring me a box of that? And then they probably would.
Mm-hmm. How has this survived 4 generations? Because that's rare in business.
It's hard. Dedication and care and willing to put the business and the struggles above what might be your stuff that you need. Like right now, I'm paying one of my employees more than I'm paying myself on a payroll paycheck. But as I told my wife, it's worth it. To keep making candy, I have to pay him to keep him around, because he's worth it. He busts his tail for me every day, and I wouldn't be in my 7th year of owning the business and being profitable if it wasn't for him. So, I mean, we had a discussion during COVID of where
See, somebody needs you to make more
Yeah,
candy.
right. Where he wanted to like he's like, I need to make more money. And I'm like, dude, I don't know. Like my uncle's never seen. I was looking at my uncle for advice what to do. He's never seen this. And I'm like, I don't know what the world's gonna be. I understand you need money to live. I need money to live, but having the business has to have money to operate. I can't just pay you whatever you're demanding and that be it. And he stuck around for another year or two, and then he ended up wanting to go try something else, and he did it, and he came back, and after about a year and a half of doing it, he's like, yeah, if you can be close to what I'm making here, I'd much rather come back here and work with you. You're you always treated me right, and I love making candy with you. So we just came to terms on that. But that
how'd you handle him going away?
It was rough. It was real rough. That also made me feel like I had to do it all at that point, because I'm the owner of the business, but I'm also cooking candy every day, because other than him, it's hard to. I've had 3 other employees, and none of them care or want to put the work in to make it. It's not easy. I mean, it's work. And once you get the routine, it becomes easy because it's second nature, but learning it's a learning curve, and it is hard. But when he was gone and I was having to figure it out by myself, and I was cooking by myself, and my cousins were there to help. I mean, they were coming in, instead of starting at 8:30, both of them were starting at 7 with me and trying to get me ahead on batches so we didn't get behind. And then I'd had to run both cookers and both cream beaters all day long by myself, with my cousin who was cutting the candy. He'd come over and help me dump the batch, and then I'd be by myself all day, plus having to run the chocolate machines. But it was a lot of running around for me. But I'm like, then I think I was 34 years old. I'm like, I can maybe do this for another year or two, but I can't do this forever. So when he came back and said, I want to work for you, I'm like, dude, whatever we can agree to is great. And I'm going to do whatever I can to keep you around, because you're that important to me. I can't do this by myself. And I think that made me realize, like, him leaving made me realize I'm only going to be as successful as the people I have hired in here, and that they have to care just as much as I do.
How do you get them to care? You said you've been through 3 other people and they just didn't. How do you get somebody to care as much?
I don't know. It kind of helps that we get along like brothers. And I mean, he started when he was 18, and then he left right after he turned 21, and he went and did a labor job. I mean, he was digging trenches for sprinkler systems, and I don't know. He cared when he was there as a young kid, but he was like, he can ask me any question. And he's like, well, you've been through before. I've got like 13 years on him. So what'd you do when you were my age? I'm like, I tell him, and he's like, okay. He takes it into consideration, but he's like, you never, steer me wrong or lied to me. So he just cares. There's hard to find in people anymore, because everybody wants to just be at McDonald's dropping fries and standing on their phone looking at Facebook. I mean,
we can't do that while we're making good chocolate. Doesn't work.
No, too much. The FDA would get upset at that one.
How in the world? So, what's your favorite? Do you have one? Can I ask? You have to have a favorite.
I have 3 favorites. I like our milk marshmallow, and I like the dark marshmallow.
Yep.
And then so that's really like one. It's just different chocolate.
Dude, I'm yesterday at a family we'll get together for, because this is really popular around Easter for you guys, right? The egg thing.
Yep.
But I was at a family birthday party yesterday, and they cracked open some. And I said, okay, I'm not eating as much sugar right now. But I said, all right, give me one. And they're so good.
Oh, it's hard to have one. Just like the Lay's chip bag. Bet you can't have one.
They're so hard.
It's hard making it all day long when you got to taste test and make sure they're tasting right.
Do you know when you're mixing it, you're like, oh yeah, there it is, man. There's the ingredient. That's where they can't just have one.
You can smell it all as you're making it. Yeah.
What's your third favorite? What is it?
Peanut butter and then opera cream. But the opera cream is rough, man. You have one little bite a day, and you probably had enough sugar intake for the rest of the week.
So good.
Yeah.
What about the cherry one? What's that? I've had those. Isn't that good? Isn't it like a cherry cream?
It's cream candy, and then it has cherry flavor in it, but we also put a whole maraschino cherry inside of it too. All done by hand.
Who came up with all these ways?
I would say the way we're doing it now, it had to been my grandpa, I don't know. See, I don't know how much was going on with the first generation, because that there's some pictures, but great grandpa was dead before I was born, and then grandpa, I didn't really get. When I was in school, I was more interested in asking him about World War II, and he didn't want to talk about it. And I wasn't thinking I was going to be making candy for a living when I was in the 8th grade. When I was that old, I said, I don't know what I want to do, but whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to be as successful as my grandfather was, just the drive to do it. And, so I didn't get to ask those questions and on how everything worked or what they were doing, but we have pictures of them, marble slab table, mixing a chocolate puddle and dipping stuff by hand versus having machines to do it. And when he decided he wanted to go the manufacturing route, I mean, he took a cookie cutter that would cut cookie dough onto sheets of pans and figured out how to make our candy that cookie dough texture and to use that machine to cut it and travel down a conveyor belt to get covered in chocolate.
That was Grandpa.
Yep. So he figured, with the 8th grade education and some night school with engineering and mechanical stuff, he figured it out.
How does so I would consider, do you guys consider yourself a small business?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on what you want to say is small. I mean, we do, between $550,000 and $600,000 in sales every year just in the local area. And now we started an online store, so who knows what our sales are going to look like now.
Congrats, man. That just papascandies.com,
yes,
right?
sir. That just happened 2 Wednesdays ago. It'll be this coming Wednesday, and that was a project right there. But
because you guys have wholesaled for a long time. Like, we'd go to places like Kroger and Walgreens, and right.
Oh yeah. The wholesale manufacturing's been the gig. Grandpa didn't want to mess with retail. His sister had the Lily shop that was on 9th and Madison, what great grandpa started. And when she wanted to sell, no one was paying her what she wanted for it. So he gave her a little less and let her retire. And he ran it for a couple of years, but he just had a hard time finding trusted employees, having pretty much kids over there with your money in the drawer. And he was over here more worried about the manufacturing side because he had built that business, and he just shut it down and took everything out of there. Still own the name and the rights to the business now, but doing retail is rough. I applaud anybody in the world that does retail, because retail is rough. You got to have people coming in the door every day, and some days you'll get 30 people, and some days you'll get nobody. Yep. So that retail game's rough, and I
have you thought about doing it again? Have you?
We've talked about, me and my cousins have talked about maybe when my kids get a little bit older and don't need me as much, or I guess I don't want to be a part of their little life as much. I don't know.
I thought you were getting ready to say when they work for less,
or when they want to work for nothing. Yeah. And they don't have sports and stuff going on. We thought about doing like pop-up shops here and there. Now that we have Shopify and can have, just payments on our phone and stuff like that. Cause we were looking at doing it by ourselves without Shopify, but I'd be getting a card reader and having to deal with all the payments to the credit card companies and dealing with cash and having cash on hand. And we've never been a cash business. So there's a lot of loopholes to figure out, or a lot of things to do. And it's like, it just makes sense for us just to keep doing manufacturing over trying to do retail. But doing, I've done a few fundraisers now and just trying to get back to the community to where that, giving back to the community is the most important thing for me, because especially for Ludlow, my kids are going to school there now, and I've given money to the soccer team so they can have jerseys, and the little girl softball team, they sold candy to make sure that they had jerseys and get their entry fees down for next year, so they don't have to pay as much to get started playing, which gives more girls a chance to play softball who might not have been able to because they couldn't afford it. But I just like giving back to the community. Community's been so great to us now for 80 years almost.
Long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
so you said you work a lot.
Too much. My wife she's so glad when Good Friday gets here, because she knows that now I'm back to, a 9 to 5 almost. And when it's 5 o'clock or whatever time I'm getting done that day, I'm done. I don't have to think about much else, and I can come home and I'm focused on her and the kids. But from November till about March 1st, it's Easter and candy and what's going on. I can't shut my brain off sometimes at night. She's like, you need to calm down and figure it out. But it's hard to shut it off when you care so much.
Yeah, where's that care come from? Is it just the pride, like you said, in the
Yeah.
family brand? I mean,
Yep.
right?
Pride and carrying it on, and I'm fourth generation, hoping, doing everything I can to keep it going for my kids and my nephew. If they decide they're probably going to end up at least putting in a couple years working with me, and if they decide that that's what they want to do, we'll work out a deal like I worked out, and if they decide not to, then we'll figure something else out. But
if you wouldn't have done this, what would Nick have been doing? What do you think?
Who knows? I was on track to be managing Bob Evans at 25 years old, but all that fell through. And I mean, I went to business school. The job market was so rough when I got out of college. I would have just taken I would have taken anything. And what ended up happening is the guy that my grandpa hired when he was 18, he was 65 then. He fell on his little moped scooter he had and broke his leg. And my uncles were like, "Hey, I know you're looking. I know Bob Evans really ain't paying you a lot. If we pay you a couple dollars more an hour, come down here and do this. And if you like it after once, get us through the season, because we don't know what's going to happen. If you like it, we'll make it worth your while to stay." And I went down and worked. I cooked and did all that stuff for 8 years. And then my wife and I had gotten married and bought a house. And I'm like, "Hey, these college bills are coming due. We have a house. We're trying to start a family. I need to make more." And we got into an argument about that. And I left for 6 months. And then my uncle came up to me and was like, "I can't do this without you. So whatever you need." And then he's like, "I want to retire too. So if you want to do it, it's all yours. We just got to figure it out." And so I came back, and I'm 7 years. That was 7 years ago.
So you left for 6 months.
Yep.
How'd that go when you left for 6 months?
It was rough to say goodbye. I mean, I was heartbroken, but I was trying to do what I thought was best for myself and mine and my wife's growth as we were together, our family, and we were trying to start a family. So I was trying to figure, professional growth and having. I see things a little differently now, but then it was like, how do you know when you're ready to have kids? How do you know you're financially ready to have kids? Because I didn't want to be burdened and sitting here telling them, no, you can't have that. We can't afford that. But now it's like, I still tell them, though.
You're never ready for things,
no,
right? That's what you figured out.
When I talked to my uncle about it, he was like, "It doesn't matter." He's like, "You could have $1, you could have $1 million. It doesn't, because if you have $1 million, you're still going to be spending money like you have $1 million. And if you have $1, you're going to be penny pinching like you have $1. So it doesn't matter. Just, you have to be mature enough to have kids. It's not a financial thing." So that hit home. And then we discussed it as husband and wife, and we said, "Okay, I think we're ready for this," and took the leap. And now we have 2 wonderful boys.
There you go, man. How old are they?
My oldest he'll be 6 in June, or he'll be 8 in June. And my youngest is 5. He'll be 6 in October.
Well, that's just old enough to be working at the business, making some candy.
We've had sitter issues, so when they get out of school at 3:00, they come down and help as much as they can.
So when I asked you, is it really a small business? It's good sales for a small local family business,
right?
How tough is it to survive when there are multi-million-dollar and billion-dollar candy businesses all around you?
Right.
How tough is that to survive and operate?
It's rough. I mean, as my uncle said, is you're not just Joe Schmo and Reese's putting out millions and millions. You're a high quality. You're selling quality, not quantity. So when someone buys your stuff, you know that you're not going to get gray chocolate. They're going to know that your chocolate didn't get hot and still covered it, still put in a package, because you're not making millions. It's going to be good chocolate, good ingredients, as best as you can do. And people know that, and that's why they keep coming back. Other than, everybody else who can switch. It makes it hard competing with the big guys too, because the
volume and price, all the sugar, all the stuff you have to buy, right?
The suppliers, they're up in their quantities, and I'm like, unless I had more sales, I can't keep up my quantity. So I end up we got canceled on buying bulk chocolate from the manufacturer, because they said that 40,000 pounds of chocolate a year wasn't enough.
How'd that feel? You're sitting here like, man, we've been in business longer than these people, man.
It was rough, but luckily, having a long-standing relationship with them, they're like, you
Talk
just
to
have
this
to
distributor now.
go through this distributor, and they won't mark it up as much because you're buying volume. So it worked out, but it's everything. I mean, everything up and down. I don't have the resources that some of the big companies do to do marketing and social media, and to be have a guy that just worries about ordering boxes and box design. I mean, me and my cousin Zach, we do that ourselves. The FDA changed all the nutrition facts panel. We had to spend 3 months out of the summer to figure out how we were gonna, how to figure that out ourselves, because we didn't have enough extra funds to go hire a nutritionist to tell us that this is what we had to do. And it's just a learning curve. I mean, every day the film that we used it for 35 years. And one day they just said, hey, we're not making it anymore after this date. Got to find something else. And we do it just one thing after another, trying to update and keep going.
How do you feel in this? Like, I'm sitting here listening to you, man, and me being in business for 16 years with my real estate company, and starting from one guy and write the story and building something. I'm listening to you and I'm like, man, all the sacrifice that you've made, that if somebody hasn't been in business, they have no idea.
Right.
And I'm like, man, these stories about you paying an employee more than you, I can relate. You talking about these crazy hours from November through March, right? Every small business owner has those periods.
Yep.
And there's something internally innate that keeps us going. And you guys you're the foundation of all of our communities. How does it make you feel? Not talking about politics at all, but how does it make you feel in this new world of just judgment, criticism? I don't think, and actually I know this, the world and the community does not appreciate what guys like you go through and the sacrifices you make. Do you feel that?
Oh, yeah. It's a wonder. That
you're willing to do this.
Right. I'm willing to do it because I've seen twice on what the effort pays off in the end, where, at 65 years old, at really both my uncles at 60 were able to say we want to retire, but they held on till retirement age so they could receive full benefits. And plus, once you sell the business, sell the building, your
revenue's gone.
Right.
Right. Hopefully they've made enough.
Right. And it's I've seen twice with my grandfather and what him and my grandma did when they retired, and they were able to live and still support 5 kids. Kids needed something. Grandpa was cutting deals with the kids, like, hey, you need a new car? Okay, let me go buy your car, because then car rates were 20%. Well, why don't I buy you your car and you pay me 8? I'm winning, you're winning. Okay. And then I think everybody's lost a sight of what hard work really is. As far there's guys out there really busted to putting shingles on roofs and doing backbreaking work and stuff. I applaud all the blue collar guys.
Yeah, they're doing the same stuff you're doing, man.
Right.
But the reality is, now in society and culture, people are looking for the easy way.
Everybody wants that work from home, sit at home, and they think that's going to be the answer to everything. And at some point, you got to work harder. You got to sacrifice something. It ain't easy.
Yeah, because if that doesn't happen, our societies fall apart.
Yeah.
Like all these people that want it easy, like that's fine. Like, but there's going to be a bunch of back-breaking work, a bunch of all-in committed folks that if they don't work and do these things, people lose track of it. You running this candy and chocolate business, you running that and all the hours you put in, man, that's hard work. You talked about you being, I don't know, what do you call it? Do you call it the shop? Do you call it the factory? What do you call it?
Factory most of the time.
Right. You're in there. You talked about in the beginning that you're mixing. Man, that's the same thing as an employee working in a bakery.
Yeah.
Right. And so if there aren't people that are going to consistently show up to take care of the infrastructure in the country, to continue to produce these things like you're producing, if we don't maintain a culture of people willing to do it, this awesome world that we're living in, those people that want it easy, guess what? You're not going to have this life.
Yep. You're not going to have a house to live in because people ain't going to be working in the building. You're not going to have clean water to drink because people aren't laying fixtures or at the plant working to make sure that it's clean water to drink. You're not going to have a small camper to drive around because the roads aren't going to be maintained.
And guess what they're not going to do? They're not going to be able to walk into Walgreens
Yeah.
and get things they like to convenient from whether it's a necessity or whether it's something like you're making.
Yep.
Those things end. And so there's nothing wrong with, I guess, looking for life to be a little easier. But, man, you better have a lot of respect. You better appreciate what guys like you are out here doing.
I mean, it's hard work, but like I tell my wife every day, I don't go to work. I wake up and go have fun. I mean, product innovation, that's what I've been doing for the last 2 weeks. We're trying to come up with new stuff and looking through old recipe books on trying to fill our line shop through the summertime with, stuff that we haven't made in 50 years.
There you go. So you can maintain sales, not just this bump right now, right?
Yeah.
Take it to $1 million in sales.
Right. But I mean, it's tough some days. I mean, some days when you got old machines breaking down and you don't know why, or there are days you don't want to get out of bed. But again, I tell her every day, I wake up and go do what I love. It's not work to me. It's something I have to do to make us some money, but at least I love doing it.
How do you, I don't know if you stop to think about it. I mean, this is a family business, so it's easier for you to love because I guess you saw your relatives doing this. But you grew to love it. Like you said, when you were in 8th grade, you didn't, like, your passion wasn't making candy at that moment. So how did this evolve? How's that happen? Because so many people say you got to follow your passion. You know what? This wasn't your passion. You were managing a Bob Evans.
Pretty close. But I guess I learned when I was I started at Bob Evans when I was 16 years old in high school. And then I went to school at Cumberland, and part of the another scholarship I had down there was a work study. And I worked in one of the food places there. And even as a kid, I was helping my grandma in the kitchen cook and make food. So I knew food at some point was going to be a part of it, of what I was doing. So you asked me what I would be doing if I wasn't making candy or having my own business. I mean, I could have been making candy at Perfetti. I could have been managing a whole, line of restaurants or something, or having a bar with a restaurant in the back making food and serving alcohol. I don't know, but I knew at some point food was going to be a part of it because I like to cook. I cook candy all day, and then in the summertime when I have time, I try to grill or smoke meat all summer long. So that's food is a part of it.
Well, for a big guy, right?
Yeah.
You got to keep putting food in that belly. What do you throw on the grill, man?
Well, I just started getting into smoking. I bought a Weber kettle grill to try it out, and we've done wings a couple times, and I did a rack of ribs over the weekend. So hopefully I'll get the hang of it, and we'll get a brisket on there by the end of the summertime.
All right. So that innovation is in your mind from all this stuff.
I mean, innovating. I mean, there's something new out there. We're in 2024, but there's still something new or an old thing that you can put a new spin on that hasn't been done yet.
What's your thought about goals? Do you have bigger goals?
Yes and no. I mean, my big goal would just be to be comfortable and be a good dad. Be good, have our business set and running and the way it is, and just to be a part of my kids' life at the same time. That's probably the biggest struggle every day, is trying to run a business and being a part of their life. Because when it's busy, and trying to make it all happen. And I mean, if it wasn't for my wife, I wouldn't be where I am. She takes a lot of the hit for when I'm busy. But I want to be the goal of being a great dad and then running a successful business and keep it going. That's top 2 goals right there. Have it be an option for the kids or my nephew that if they want to do this when they get old enough, it's there. And if they don't, we'll figure it out from there. So
why do you think your wife's been willing to make the commitment? Obviously, she's special to you. You've brought her up a couple times.
She when we first started dating, she knew what I did. She said I was crazy, and she didn't know how long of a plan that it was going to take for me to. I was working making candy when we met, and I was pulling nights at Bob Evans too to have some extra cash. But I guess she just saw the drive, and she knows how much I love doing it, and she's there for me every step of the way. She's as much part of it as I am. She don't get the recognition, I guess, unless I give it to her.
Yeah, it's important to have good people around you, right?
Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for her, and I should say my uncles too, because they gave me a sweet deal on setting me up for, they said, we can't just hand it to you. You got to work for it. But it's going to be hard the first 10 years, but you get through the first 10 years, you'll be all right. So just get through the first 10 years and you'll be okay. So, and with them behind me with, mentoring and just saying, yeah, we've been there, or when things break, it's not like I'm left on my own. They're around to say, yeah, this is what we did, or this is where we got it from, or, okay, we'll be down tomorrow and we'll shut it down, have everybody cleaning something or whatever, and we'll work on and get it fixed.
So they're still there. They've still got your back if you need it.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah. They're like, man, not today, Nick. Does that ever happen? Not today.
Oh yeah, it's hey, are you free this week? Oh, I'm going to go play golf or whatever. But if when push comes to shove, they're going to show up if I need it. Yeah.
So between your uncles and your wife, you really don't need that many people there to go all in with you, do you? You don't need that many.
No,
you have a good amount, just a few.
Yeah, just a few, and find yourself a team that works. I mean, if it wasn't family owned and operated. I mean, if it wasn't for my two cousins and my aunt, who is still, she comes in through Easter and helps, but then she gets all summer off to do whatever she wants to do. But if it wasn't for the three of them and the one good employee that I have, it wouldn't be possible, because they care enough to make it happen.
Why do you think people keep on eating these tasty candies you make? Why do we keep eating it?
It's irresistible.
So don't have your first bite, because it's going to go all downhill or uphill from there. Whatever you
open up that 20-count box of milk marshmallow, or the 40-count box, it'll probably be gone before the end of the day.
Man, listen, I'm going to talk to Dave Jackson here with us today, content team. I'm going to talk to him and say, listen, we got to reset on the type of people we come in here, because this is a good day. Because I think you brought some stuff for us to taste, for us to be right. I mean, nothing like some good marketing for all the podcast exposure. But Dave, we got to do a better job. I'm tired of talking to all these people that are making these millions and billions of dollars. I want to talk to guys that bring us good, tasty stuff in here.
Well, it took me a year to get him in.
What the hell, Nick?
Work. Well, he's working hard.
Working. I remember he came down last year, and I was like, last year was a rough year. My dad passed away on, I think it was like March 7th last year, right after my birthday, and it was in the middle of getting Easter done with, and that was rough. And then later that year, we had two other family members pass away. So within like the first 6 months of the year, it was like all we did was attend funerals. And then at the end of last year, my wife's grandfather passed away. That's all I did last year, was go to funerals, it felt like. So between taking time off for that, and then go to all the funerals, and then helping people clean out this apartment, this house, trying to get everybody's stuff together, and running a business, it was crazy. But now hopefully that's behind us for a while. Everybody's pretty healthy, and I can focus on product innovation and being at my kids' soccer games and stuff, and not worrying about everybody's health.
What's been your approach when those bad things show up? I mean, you dealt with COVID operating the business.
That was rough.
Right? And then you talked about special people in your guys, a lot of them passing away. And what do you do in these moments of just turmoil and when bad stuff comes your way?
I just keep on moving forward, because that's what they would have done. You can't dwell on it and be sad and get yourself in depression. You just got to remember the good times and keep on moving, because if you stop, and you're going to get caught in depression, and if you're caught in depression and just stop, you're not going to keep moving forward, and you're just going to take a downfall, and who knows how long it'll be, or if you can climb out of it.
Where'd you learn that perspective from?
Because when my grandpa passed away when I was in high school, I guess I was probably, I broke my ankle, couldn't play football for the whole season, my whole junior year. And then a month after I broke my ankle, my grandpa passed away from cancer. So I was rough for a while. And I guess once I was able to get off the crutches and start moving again. My coach looked at me and said, do you want to play? You know, do you want to go out with a bang, or you want to go to school next year? You know, next fall or 2 falls from now, I guess. And I'm like, let's get it done. And he just put me in the weight room and we kept going, and he got my mind off of it. And once my mind was off of, you know, being upset, then I was fine. So
the let's get it done.
yeah, the faster you can just say, there's nothing I can do about it, and they wouldn't want me sitting here depressed and not doing nothing. Just move on and remember the happy times and do it. You know, you can go do things that remind you of them or for them. Operating candy business, I mean, that's keep it running for them.
Do you know how lucky your boys are going to be having you?
Most of the time.
Do you know, but I mean, do you know, like, you being their dad, and as they grow up, the things you just talked about? I mean, maybe, do you know how lucky they're going to be?
No, I don't know. I had a pretty good relationship with my dad when I was a kid. I want to keep that going, because I know some kids don't have zero. They have zero relationship with either one of their parents, and some have a struggling relationship with their dad. So I don't want my kids to have that. I want them to, you know, anything that happens in their life, I want them to be able to come to me and at least be able to give them some input, even if it's not the right input or what they want to hear, some kind of input, instead of hiding it or trying to figure it out on their own, because it's not fun when you have to try to figure it out on your own.
Do you talk to them the way we're talking yet? Do you talk to them like that yet? They're 5 and 8.
A little bit. I mean, my 8-year-old, I try to tell him, like, okay, you fell, or you take it. We were just riding bicycles and playing tag the other night, and it started getting dark outside. And I'm like, all right, bud, well, I think it's time to go home because you fell. I don't want to go home. And I'm like, well, you were just running and you tripped over a curb because you couldn't see it. It's probably time to go home. I could see it, Dad, trying to, you know, argue with me about it. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you couldn't. But I knew where we were at because I had grown up there. I'm like, I tried to get it out, like tell him to slow down and stop running, but I couldn't get it out fast enough, and he bit the dust. But
that's some resilience, right? He wants to get back up and keep going.
Keep going. As long as it's playtime, let's keep going, Dad. Let's keep going.
That's special.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I just know that I was thinking about this. So I had a nephew that I spoke earlier about. This was cracked open because I went to a birthday. It was actually 2 birthday things on Sunday. And a nephew, he's 14, and it's the first time I took time to actually write a good message in his birthday card. Because, you know, as kids, it's like, happy birthday, here's what you're going to get him. And it was the first time I did, and I said, let me take some time to write it. And my sister texted me last night and said, hey, he took a long time reading your card. It's the first time he's ever done something like that. So he let me read it. And she said, I really appreciate that message you wrote for him. And it was the things that I've learned in life, some of them, about being 14. And I remember what it was like being 14. And my response to her when she said, thank you, I said, hey, listen, life's going to start to get more serious and real for him. These are some of the things that he needs to start hearing.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And so I don't have any kids myself, but boy, these nieces and nephews, they get it from me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So, I mean, it's important to take that time. It doesn't matter how busy we are.
Yep.
To take that time to help bring these next generations along, to share with them about the principles and the values and the way to live life. And I said, hey, it's important to have fun, but you got to take stuff serious too.
Calculated risk. How much fun am I willing to have, and how much am I going to pay for it later on?
Yeah. I try not to, you're a nice, respectful guy, so I won't start dropping curse words and all that, but sometimes I do, man.
I'm with you. I'm trying to be on my best behavior here. So you
I don't. Me. So if I catch you at a bad time, I'm saying, if you open it up, it's like the floodgates, man, for me. So I'll stay. But, you know, there's something out there where it said, you're going to do something enough, you're going to find out.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Right. And that's how life goes.
You're going to flirt with the line on something, you're going to find out why there's a line there.
Wow, we kept it clean. So what are you, when I said you have goals, you said it was important to be a good dad and have the business operational. What do you do, though, when you're trying to invent new things, new products? Like, why? Just because that's special to you, or do you want to drive sales?
Both. I mean, it's special, but we've had the same products for so long, and I mean, I know my uncles tried stuff and grandpa tried stuff, and it's like, this worked, that didn't work, or this worked really well and it replaced something, and it just had more sales in this, so we stopped making that. And I guess I've learned what COVID made me realize was either you adapt and change, or it's not gonna be there anymore. So if we keep making the same stuff over and over and over again, yeah, Easter's great, but I need some revenues to happen through the summertime.
Yeah, people are still buying candy.
Right.
Right?
They're just not buying chocolates as much because it's going to melt. But
Mhm.
trying to find something to do. I mean, we had stuff, and the way the world is now, we were making It's a Boy, It's a Girl sugar sticks, which I brought those two. I forgot about them.
Yeah, let's see that. They're pretty big, aren't they? Like if I stop down.
These are blue raspberry.
Yeah, so when I stop down at like Anchor Grill for a late night dinner or something, they have these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the girls' dads, the girl that works there, her dad comes in all the time and buys a bunch of candy from me. So he takes it up there and shares it with everybody.
Oh, is that why they have it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought they were just being nice to me. They gave me one. So basically it was given to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
But his brother, the guy that comes in, his brothers work for my grandpa, so he still comes in and buys candy from me from time to time.
You need one of these, Dave? Here you go.
But he's grandpa started the It's a Boy, It's a Girl candy because they were doing the cigars, but he knew everybody didn't want to smoke because he had just quit smoking too. And so he made the boy ones and gave me one. I was the first one to have one. But right when COVID happened, the sales on them decreased because all of a sudden you couldn't call. I mean, everybody's having gender reveals, but then it became a big thing. You couldn't tell your kid if they were a boy or a girl yet. So
do we have to go there? Should we leave that
no,
alone?
we can leave that out of here. I don't want to get into that, but I was doing great. I mean, we were doing $30,000-$40,000 in sales with them all summer long. And now I've had 2 years where that's gone. So I got to find something to take that up with.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from it. I almost went there. I don't know.
I'll eat half if you eat half.
Of this one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we can. So I just, there's a reason why I'm not just crazy. I'm eating less sugar in my life, but I was the biggest sugar fiend, man. But I'm going to have,
that's my kid.
Yeah, right. And so, just as we get older, I'm 45 now. So as we get older, there you go, man. I don't know. I think we have to do things in moderation, right?
Yep.
So in our 20s and 30s, it doesn't matter. Our bodies are so resilient.
You'll bounce back the next day after St. Patty's Day.
How old are you now?
30-something. 36.
Okay. So you're still in the midst of your body recovering.
Yeah, it's starting to get harder and harder.
Starting to feel it?
Yeah.
Just wait till 40. Something bad happens at 40. I don't know what it is.
Don't tell me that.
It does. You got a few more years, man. Because I still put in those hours like you. I put in these 80 and 100-hour weeks, man. I still do.
I think that's why my uncle was so ready to retire, because he was doing the same thing, and he kept seeing the trends with the nutrition facts panel changing and everything. Like he says all the time, I remember the day I brought a computer in this office and your grandpa told me, I'm glad I don't have to worry about this crap anymore, because that's way over my head. And when we started doing, my uncle was still doing accounting with the ledger board. So when we started doing QuickBooks and a website and all this, all these, the scan-based trading with Walgreens we're doing now, he's like, oh, you guys got it. You don't need me anymore.
He's like, I'm out.
Yep.
Hey, just for the record, people hear us eating these. It's awesome. So I'm sure you can go to your website. Here's one of your little plugs, right? thepapascandies.com.
Yes, sir.
You can order all this stuff.
Oh, yeah. That's what we're trying for.
How long does this stuff last? So when you make it, how long can you sell it on your website and it's still fresh?
8 months.
I can buy this and I can keep it for...
You could keep it for 8 months, yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
What type of stuff are you putting in that so we can keep it for 8 months? I don't want to know.
No, it's all the only thing that goes in there is it's called invert, and it's to help the sugar cream over, invert back into like a creamy texture. But that's shelf stable too. But I mean, the dairy and stuff that's in it, once you put it in the it's repasteurized, and then that's part of the cooking process. And then once it's encased in that chocolate and that sealed wrapper, it's shelf stable for 8 months.
Does it have a date on it? So 8 months from that date, or no?
No, we just use lot codes.
Okay.
But I mean, making stuff seasonally, we're not going to make stuff so far ahead of time. That's the other thing, that with the quality product, Reese's is putting out and Hershey's, they're putting out candy left and right in big quantities, but you know, they had Christmas trees, or they had pumpkins in Kroger in July last year.
Trying to sell through it.
Right.
Is that what they were doing?
But you know, that
from Halloween.
For Halloween. I mean, they got them
that early.
They got them that early. But you don't think them things were made at the beginning of the month.
No.
Right.
No. Those are probably made 2 or 3 months ago.
Or before that, yeah. I mean, we got to be a little far out, but we start in November and people are buying our stuff
March.
the second week of January. Yeah. So
what percentage of your sales happen in the first quarter of a year? Half, 60, 70%?
70, 75%. But I mean, that's the hardest part about the business is cash flow and putting out thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of dollars for chocolate and boxes and payroll, and then not recouping any of that until starting to recouping that till like February. But,
so you're good right now. You got some cash coming in right now.
Cash is coming in now. It's January and February where it gets a little tight.
That's why he wouldn't come in last year, Dave. He's worried about that money. So why don't you guys, man, seems like you could do something around the Christmas holidays.
We do a little bit of Christmas. The tough part about that is we got to try to get Christmas done by the end of October. So when you start calling people, retail stores or whatever, you're talking about Christmas and it's September and they're like, we're worried about Halloween. I'm like, but you should have been worried about Halloween in April and like the smaller guys, they're worried about what the next holiday, like if it's October 1st, they're worrying about Halloween. Dealing with Walgreens and Kroger's and any CVS, they're like Publix is coming to town. I'm trying to get in with them. They're approving Christmas stuff in April. So but
that's in line with you though when you need to be making
exactly. If I gotta get approved by then, okay, now I can get an order in by July. And now I can get my stuff in by August so I can make it all and have it to them by October. And then November 1st, they put it out on the shelf and they're selling it. Mm-hmm. So then now they got 2 months to sell it or, 7 weeks to sell versus the 3 weeks that everybody wants to put, December 1st and Christmas stuff is out. So
we got to come up with something to replace these. It's a boy, it's a girl.
Well, these are, there's a company, Ruth Hunt, in Mount Sterling, Kentucky, that makes the Kentucky Sugar Stick, and he buys all kinds of different flavors with them. It's just the boy and girl where we were doing so much. I got to find something else
to replace that.
Yeah.
You'll come up with it soon.
Oh, yeah.
I think the website's going to help, man. How are you guys what are you going to do in this new world of social media? What are you going to do?
I was just telling Dave earlier, it was, we're talking about trying to find a GoPro and film us making candy.
We'll give you one. We got one.
But I was just thinking over the weekend, like, that's going to add in how many more hours of work, just sit there and edit the videos and stuff. So, but we'll figure it out. Like we said, even if it's a 5-second clip on TikTok, take a minute video, cut it up, put it out there. That maybe takes 30 minutes, hopefully. So, we're not like we're going to be making 20, 30-minute videos and then have to edit it out. So,
but there's companies that can do that for you pretty cheap. I know some guys. Seriously, there's a guy that owns a company called Content Compounding.
Yeah.
If you just send him the raw video,
right,
they'll cut clips up and put it on social.
We'll get there eventually. We've done so. I mean, we're already world above where it was
the website and all this stuff.
When I bought in 2018, we're world above. We're 7 years in and already bringing it farther into the 21st century than where it was. So
you feel like you're in a good place.
We're moving forward. It's slow. I mean, baby steps, but that's kind of where I want to be. Good, educated, calculated risk. Like, okay, we've done our homework. This should work. If it doesn't work, we could probably attribute it to.
That's somebody telling you need to do social media.
It's
the light was flashing.
We can probably attribute it to us not working hard enough if it doesn't work. That's kind of
self-accountability, baby. It's awesome.
I like to look at it as if this fails, it's because I did something wrong because it works for about everybody else. So
how tough is that mindset to get other people to buy into? Like that's just accountability, not blaming anyone else.
Right.
Taking full responsibility for everything.
It's hard, but I mean, as the owner operator, if it's not getting done at the end of the day, it's on me. But also in the fact that there's only 4 of us that, me, my 2 cousins, and Billy, the employee I hired, came back. Between the 4 of us, if it's not getting done, one of us didn't do something. And if the 3 of them forgot something, I always go back and make sure that it got done. But with them 3 that care so much, it takes a lot off me, because I know if they say, yeah, I got it done, they got it done. Or if I'm like, hey, did you get this done? No, I forgot about it. Okay, I could, now I have time I can go back and figure it out. But again, without them 3 that care, it'd be all on me again, and I don't want that, because then I would never go home.
That wouldn't be okay.
No, that would not be okay.
Are you guys operating out of the same manufacturing location that's been for all these years?
Yep. Grandpa built it in 56. It was operational by 57. And then he started making addition. He made the addition of the dock in the 60s. And then he built the kitchen and moved everything, because now it's like a story and a half ceiling, and that's where our kitchen and chocolate room and packing room is over there. And then we have the dock, and the building he started in is all storage. So
68 years.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Something like that, yeah.
It's probably gone by like that.
I know these 7 years have gone by pretty fast. It's hard to believe it's already been, 2018 till now. But then, I started working there getting a paycheck in 2011. So it's all them years. It's like, sometimes it feels like I just started, but then it's like, I can't have just started, because I have all this wealth of knowledge about what's going on. So I had to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
But
just soaking it all up
Yeah.
over the years. What when you get stuck on something as an operator and you can't figure it out, what do you do?
Shut it down and walk away. Go do something else, clear your head, and come back to it. If you stay on it, and YouTube's been wonderful on, and the internet can be wonderful on figuring things out, but I can't YouTube on how to fix. You can YouTube on how to change the battery or change the oil in your car, because everybody has a car. But I can't YouTube on how to fix this gear on this machine made from 1930 that we're like the only ones that have one. So it gets if I can't figure it out, then it's like, okay, get on the internet, find this or that person. And I made connections. We've had connections for years of, people locally that have fabricated stuff, or buying stuff from Granger or Cincinnati Belting and Transmission. Them guys, if it wasn't for them, again, I wouldn't be around, because they have the knowledge on how machines and stuff work. Or A1 Motors right down
here.
the street from here.
Mm-hmm.
Every electric motor that we have came from them. And then when they go out, yeah, here, let's get you a replacement. And then within a couple of days, I'm back up and running again. They're wonderful. So it's, one year we had to figure out one of our pumps was going bad, and it was just worn out, but getting parts was going to be 6 weeks. Well, we couldn't shut down for 6 weeks. So they said, you just got to make it spin faster. And I'm like, well, how does that happen? So I had to go home that night and research gear ratios and
get some RPMs
pulley
up.
systems, and figuring out, change this one to this size, and had to Google and figure all that out. But then I think, when my uncles were doing it, they didn't have the internet. When my grandpa was doing it, he didn't have the internet. So how did he figure it out? And we have books and stuff, but it's just a different world having a computer in your pocket. And then there was let me go see if the information's in this book or at the library, or I might know somebody that does this stuff.
I wonder if having the internet makes us smarter or more dumb. Because see, the past generations had to figure it out.
It depends on how you use it. So social media, that starts to turn to the shut your brain off, and it's not working. But when you're using it to get information, but you got to be careful, because it's got to be trusted information and credible information. So it's if you're going through credible information, you can find out a lot of stuff. A lot of things that I would never thought I knew how to do. And now, blown water heater, I could put a water heater in now, but school didn't teach me that. And we pay, either I'm going to mess it up and we're going to pay for someone to come in and fix it anyways, or I try to fix it and I make it work and it happens. And now I just saved paying plumbing and heating to come in and fix it.
What's the philosophy? Do you have anything on the wall in the facility? The philosophy of the business? I mean, I'm sure it just comes from this working hard, do what it takes attitude. But I think that because if you go on your guys' website you just launched, on your logo, it talks about it being a sweet family tradition.
Family tradition, that's what it is. But at some point, someone's gone through the same woes and everything else that I'm seeing today. Whether it was 1900, 1920, 1950, 1980, 1990, 2024. At some point in 4 generations, someone's gone through the exact same things that's going on now. And here we are still making it happen. And luckily I have uncles that are still around that can say, hey, yeah, we did that. I was 30 years old and I'm a little fuzzy on what happened, but yeah, we've done that before. So
do you have any mentors outside of them, or that's pretty much who you go to?
That's pretty much it.
What if you didn't have them? And the connection I'm making is, if someone starts a business and wants to dip their toe or jump all the way in this world of entrepreneurship, man, if you don't have a mentor,
going and finding, just creating relationships with people in a community that you want to be in. So, I mean, my friend from high school, he works at Braxton now, and in 2020 they were struggling to find somebody to be a variant for their dart charge day. And he calls me because they're in the meeting in October. Hey, are you interested? I'm like, I'm interested, dude. Like, you don't even have to ask. You should have just said, yeah, he's good to go, and let's just figure it out. And from that, I became real good friends with the owners of them guys. And, all the people that are involved with that company and the things that they do. Like, he takes me on events and stuff over there, so I get to meet them. But if you don't have that and you're looking for something, I mean, I forget what they call it because I haven't had to do it, but there's like, you can be a part of the business world. Like, you want
to get in the Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce. That's what I'm looking for.
Yep.
Is getting involved with the chamber, or talking to the mayor, or going and visiting different businesses. It might not even be a business that, like, in the field that you're looking to get, but someone else that's in business in the community that you can talk to just get started.
Well, because there's going to be a lot of commonality between businesses.
I mean, just running a business is just enough.
Somebody you can cry with.
Yeah.
Where nobody else understands, right?
Yeah. Right.
You mentioned earlier, so the basic question is like, man, why is all this worth it? You mentioned earlier because you saw that 2 previous generations, it paid off for them.
Yep.
Yeah, but you're chewing up a lot of life you don't get back in the midst of it. 9 to 5 sure would be a lot easier on the mind and the body.
Sometimes you're also working for somebody else, and you don't get to see, I guess, again, the prideful thing is, you don't get you can't say that I did that. This is happening because of me, or this is happening because of decisions I made. When you're working 9 to 5 and you're on coast, I call it coast mode. You're just doing what you're told for somebody else, and you don't have to make the decisions every day. But at the same time, as my uncle told me, it was, if you're getting the pink slip, and the only one you can blame is yourself for giving yourself the pink slip. Whereas anybody else out in the world, times get rough and people start cutting things, they're just handed it, and, hey, this is what we have to do to keep going.
Is that why you wore the pink shirt in here today?
No.
Just to remind yourself a little bit, like, dude, I'm a couple bad decisions away from pink slip.
It's like an Easter color, man.
It matches. I know. I was going to connect it earlier.
Yeah.
Just to remind yourself, like, dude, I'm the only person that can give me a pink slip.
No.
So why do you think, like, the pink and the yellow are like the colors I think when I think about your business?
Yep.
Is it the Easter thing?
I guess. They've been pink and yellow for as long as I can remember. I don't know if they were any other colors before that, but pink and yellow. And then we started he did the pink 6-pack and the green and the white. And then we started with the blue for the peanut butter, just to make it different. But we haven't changed. We've changed like the logo and stuff, but a lot of the artwork on those boxes is my grandpa did with an artist, drawing it on paper, and my cousin that was a graphic designer has been able to convert it over digital stuff and get it done.
it just, man, your guys, the packaging and all this, it just speaks quality. I just don't, I'm sitting here looking at the wrappers, and it's probably not aluminum, but it looks like it's aluminum, right? And I'm like, this just looks, it looks like it's been this way for a long time, but it just seems like it's quality, man. Like the structure of the cardboard is a little bit stronger. It's not more thin. I don't know, man. It just feels like, now it could piss me off if I can't get this opened, if I have to like figure out how to open it and stuff. But this feels like quality. Is you just do the things the same way you've always done it?
It's just the
Is
way
that all it is?
It's the way it was done. I mean, we've done different things. Like the box used to be all cardboard. I'll open one up for you. And now it was printed on plain white cardboard, and now it's a what they call litho wrap. So they take a piece of printed paper, like they print all that print flat, and then it gets cut up and glued around the edges, which gives it more sturdiness,
More structure.
Yeah.
Where maybe it would fall, the sides would fall
But
and stuff.
and I mean, we were talked into doing that from the box guy, because he said it was cheaper than printing on straight up cardboard, because cardboard was getting expensive during COVID. So we switched to that, and that was it's cheaper,
But it still feels like quality.
but it's good quality stuff, right?
What is opera cream?
It got named Opera Cream because they would sell it. Grandpa and great grandpa would sell it at the intermission of the Opera House in Cincinnati.
No shit.
Yep. But that it's hard. I'm not a good guy to ask for like describe tasting and stuff. It's rich. That's all I can say. That
Coconut. Man, this just sitting here making me like, man, what are we still talking for? Pineapple? I didn't know you guys have pineapple.
Yep.
Is that new?
No, we've had pineapple for a long time. It's one of the, like, we sell probably 10 times more Opera Cream than we do pineapple. And like the pineapple, vanilla, and mint are probably like the worst, like, not, I wouldn't say worse. They're just low numbers compared to Opera, French cherry, and peanut butter and coconut.
It's just so wrong you do this to us, man. It's just so wrong that you gotta make something just taste so stinking good.
Imagine working around it all day long.
How hard is that? I mean, are you like tasting it all the time? Be honest.
There was a guy that my grandpa hired when he was 18 and worked till he had a stroke at 76 years old. But he would take a pinch out of every batch and try it just to make sure it was right.
It was at his pay. He just sat around.
No, it wasn't his pay, but he's the one that taught me how to do it all when I was 26 years old. So out of habit, that's, me and the guy Billy now, we just take a little bite out of every one, make sure it's there.
That's why Billy came back.
Yeah.
He didn't come back for the pay, or he liked you.
Right. Right.
He got tired of having to buy the stuff. Man.
Yeah. I taste everything to make sure that it tastes right and it's there, but I try not to eat too much of it, too many sweets outside of work, because I know I get my intake in at work. But like all summer long, we don't make that much, or we make a lot, but we don't make as much as we do now.
Yeah.
And so I kind of balance it out where I don't try to eat sweets at all in the summertime as much as I can. But my kids are like, Dad, I want some Sour Patch Kids.
You're like, what? No, I'm bringing you home some Opera Cream. Well, what are you talking about?
I'm fine if they want Sour Patch Kids, because I don't want to get into making gummies and stuff. But chocolate, I'm like, come on, guys. I have all this stuff at work. We ain't going to buy it.
This is wild, man. Do you slip packages in their pocket going home at different times and at night?
No, I mean, we have not ones that are done to be sold. We have boxes of stuff sometimes that gets piled up from ones that get bit off in the wrap machine, or, hey, this one's small, it didn't weigh. So that we just put it all in a box, and whatever anybody wants to take home, they take it home.
Tastes the same, right?
Yep. It tastes the same. We just can't sell it. So
maybe that's the way that you'll come up with a new product, something that's not supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
How hard was it creating your guys' website? And
it was a little journey. I mean, thanks to my cousin Zach being a graphic designer, and he knows all that. I mean, he did all that stuff for school. So it was more of trying to pick which platform was going to be the best fit for us, and trying to figure out, how shipping was going to work, and, just all the stuff. And it was we had talked about it for a couple years, and then finally about 18 months ago, we really started saying, okay. And then we found out Shopify was giving away like 3 months for $1 a month. So we're like, well, sign up for it. We'll get all the planning out done. And then our first month that they're going to charge us $40. We got to go live that month so we can make the money back. And we've done well and above the $40 a month that Shopify charges. So it's been great.
How are you guys marketing and promoting it? Just organically or what?
Organically at this point, just trying to, everybody that's followed us on Facebook for years, which again, in 2018, that was the first. We'd never had a Facebook page until then. And just between me and my cousin Zach being on it and commenting back when we had a chance or whatever, not trying to be on my phone all the time, but when we had chances communicating back with people or posting like where everything was available at. Now we have the online shop. So people have followed us. And then a lot of the time it's the reason that made the online shop made sense was everybody that has lived in the area, but we moved to Texas because of work or family or California. And it's like, we would love to have this again, part of our childhood, but we can't get it because you guys are only local. So that was the real driver to get it done, especially during COVID where sales were kind of like question. I mean, 2020 sales weren't bad because they were trying to figure it all out, but 21 was a little different. And
were you worried?
A little bit. I mean, it was like, what's the world coming to? What are we going to have to do? And then at the same time, it was like, well, they can't just keep us all cooped up forever. And, they're going to have to figure something out. And so it went back and forth every other, one day I was great. Next day it was like, oh God, what are we going to do? But luckily I had my team around me and we just stayed busy getting stuff done, whether it might not have been making candy that day, but improving stuff at the factory. I mean, we redid the office just to keep people employed and get stuff done. And we went through all the 40 years of stockpile of, we might need this machine part. Here's another part off, a used one, but we might need it one day. When we went through all that stuff and saved the actual usable stuff and got rid of the other stuff. So we made good time with it, but it was definitely like, we should be making candy today, but can't really. Yeah.
Did the federal programs for all the COVID money and stuff, did that help you guys?
Yes and no. I mean, it helped the we did the PPP money to help everybody still get a paycheck because we weren't, it made my net not go, where it was in the red. I was still profitable that year, but it wasn't like life-changing or either. I mean, it was like a 6-month or a 3-month thing where, okay, we got through the summertime and things were starting to get a little bit better. So it helped us through the summertime where it was like, oh God, what are we going to do? But
would you have stayed in business without it?
Well, probably. It just would have been a little tighter.
You just would have figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever happens. We just
you're going to figure it out.
Yep. Keep grinding until it gets done. And then something else pops up where you got to figure that part of it out.
How the resilience that you've had you talked about when you were a junior in college, right? About your grandpa passed away.
Junior in high school.
Yeah. You broke your ankle. And then the coach asked you what you wanted to do. You're like, let's get it.
Yeah.
You started to develop real resiliency. And when something bad happens, you get knocked down, get back up. We listen to Rocky, right? Sylvester, he tells us that, right? So, but how much better has that made you as a human, being in business, having to learn how to figure out all these things? How much better has that made you as a human in your personal life, for your family, your friends? Because it carries over, doesn't it?
That's probably what my wife loves about me most is no matter what happens, she's like, you always have the level head. She's the one ready to jump off the deep end. Like the world's over, you call it quits, but you're always the one that has the level head saying, whatever happens, it doesn't matter. We'll figure it out some way. We'll cut. When we first bought our first house, it was like we had Netflix for 2 or 3 months to say, guess we're cutting Netflix and Wi-Fi off our plate so we can figure it out because we had tires we had to buy or something, and just keep playing around and making it happen. And now, here we are. So
everything's figure outable.
Yep.
Right.
It just keep trying. Shuffle something here and there, shuffle something here there, and it'll work its way out as grandma used to say, it'll work itself out in the wash at some point.
It seems like you don't ignore things though.
No.
You deal with them, right?
Yep. You got to deal with it because my uncle always said you got to be proactive instead of reactive. So the more care you take into for the factory's sake as cleaning stuff or, hey, this looks like it's worn, let's replace it instead of waiting until it's broken. I mean, you could transfer that stuff
It's a
into your
life.
life. Like, oh, well, I probably need to get laundry today. Oh, my friends want to go out. Oh, let's go out instead of doing laundry. And then all of a sudden one day you wake up and you ain't even got any clean underwear to put on and go to work. So
That'd probably be a bad day.
yeah. And then everybody wonders, well, you know, if you didn't do that and then you complain you had a bad day all day, you could have been prevented if you take an ounce of prevention towards.
So Nick, what you're telling us is the next time your coworker has a bad day, you ask them if they did their laundry. Is that what
You got to start it off right at some point.
It's not about eating a good breakfast. It's about making sure you did your drawer laundry the day before.
Hey, I mean, waking up and having no socks or clean or dry shoes to put on.
Well, that is a bad day, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in life, be proactive, not reactive.
That's right.
It'll make the next day so much better.
Yep.
Give us some more thoughts here, man. We can sit here and talk candy all day long.
Oh yeah.
We're an hour and 15 minutes into this thing. You got your busiest time of the year. Do we get to keep these candies?
Oh yeah, it's all for you guys.
Wow, man. We'll keep some here on the podcast. We'll go around the real estate company handing some out. This is going to be a big hit, man. What is there anything on your mind that coming in today? You're right, man. What we got to talk about today? I'm going on this podcast.
I was a little nervous. I will say that like I said at the beginning of this first real podcast where people really might listen.
Oh, they're going to listen.
And I can talk about candy and myself a lot, but sometimes I get nervous when I don't know what questions are coming my way. But
it's a conversation.
That's right. It's all right now. I'm good.
Yeah. See, we were good, so we can keep on talking. Then.
Oh yeah.
Just let's go. We talk football. We get
whatever.
We got a little Burrow sign jersey.
I
over
see
here.
that.
Yeah,
I see that. I want to get one for my house too. But
we're a nonprofit for the Mardi Gras in Northern Kentucky.
Yeah.
Donated to children's homes and stuff. So I'm sure I overpaid for it, but that's a legit game jersey.
That's
a real deal.
Worn jersey and sign. That'd be worth money one day.
I don't know if it's one of his real game day ones. It has the QR code on it.
Yeah.
So
even if he just warmed up in it, right?
I don't know. I don't know if he did or not. We're gonna say he did.
Might not have any lineman
Green.
sweats on.
Yeah,
it,
right. What are you a Bengals fan?
Yeah, I've been Bengals fan since I don't know 8 years old.
What happened in that Super Bowl, man? What happened with the old Rams?
Too much. There's just not enough good calls and play calls, officiating, all together. They'll get back though. I mean, I like where the team's headed now versus where we were at 10 years ago. So even during the Palmer era, I still thought then it was or even Dalton. It was Dalton or Palmer and Chad Johnson. That was about all we had. And then we added Eifert, and it's still all offense. We didn't have like big standout guys on defense.
What about that coach we had, Marvin Lewis?
He had a good 10-year. You can't say he didn't have a good 10-year.
He just couldn't win big games.
Right. He just couldn't make the calls to win the big games.
He looked nervous. That's what I always said.
Yeah.
Between him and Dalton together, man, in the big moments, they looked nervous.
Well, Dalton, I just don't think Dalton had the ice in his veins like Burrow does. I mean, they were there in the big moments when Dalton was young. And I think he was, oh God, I'm really here. Like what, trying to take it all in as a young guy, like, oh, this is great. But when push comes to shove in a game that means it, and this ball has to be perfect.
Thinking about it too much.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Instead of just playing, thinking about it too much.
Him and Marvin Lewis, man, I'm telling you, they looked like it was over them. They just couldn't handle the big moments.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was it or not, but it looked, and there was multiple times.
It was give them a primetime game. They're going to lose.
Right. And they just look confused.
Yeah.
What about life? How can we prevent that in life? Like, because you think those guys would have prepared enough. You think they would have watched enough film. Was there something just about their DNA? They just didn't have it.
I don't know about DNA. Again, being proactive, able to be in any moment at any given time and ready for it. But you can only prepare so much. You're going to get thrown curveballs, and just figuring that curveball out as best as you can. I mean,
so a Burrow looks different than a Dalton.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
You're going to get curveballs, and you're going to be thrown off your game and thrown off your feet. But keep going. You can't just stop and say, "Well, I'm done. I'm thrown off." Throw the towel in and be done with it. You got to keep moving somewhere, somehow, some way.
But we don't have to.
Well, you don't have to, but if you want to be successful, I guess you got to choose to.
Boy, I can hear these conversations with Nick and his boys as they grow up, right? It's not going to be about tripping on curbs.
Yeah.
It's going to be about tougher stuff, right?
Yep. Sometimes they're already getting into it. I mean, my oldest, about 2 years ago, he was learning how to ride a bike, and it was like, riding the 2-wheel. Dad, I can't do it without the training wheels. Dad, I don't think I can. And then one day he's like, Dad, can we take one off? Sure, bud. That's what you want to try. I'm right here for you. 20 minutes later, riding 2 wheels, no problem. I'm like, okay. And then I was like, I encourage him no matter what happens. Oh, you fell. Brush yourself off. Let's get back up. Sitting there crying ain't gonna, I know you're hurt, but let's get back up. Crying isn't gonna fix it. You gotta, push through and let me get to you, brush yourself off. And once they see that they don't have a bone sticking out or blood run down their leg, they're okay.
What see, he could do it. He just had to believe, right?
Yep. Like you got it, bud. You don't need me. And at first it was my hand on his back. And as soon as he felt my hand go off, all of a sudden you get all wobbly. But then I pushed him good one time, so I had to run and keep up with him, and he just kept on going. I said, I'm done running. You got it, bud.
Do you think about at times why as adults we lose the ability to do that?
To believe in ourselves?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we've been through, I guess as a young adult and adult, you can get pushed down and, you keep treading water, and sometimes it doesn't feel like you're going nowhere, and it's easier to give up or stay stagnant than it is to try to move forward or try to better yourself.
Why do you think kids don't take no for an answer, but we do the older we get? A lot of people. As an adult, we take no for an answer way easier than kids.
We've heard no a lot more through, 8-year-old kids only heard no 1,000 times. A 40-year-old man has heard no 1,000,000 times. So you might take it easier, but again, the answer might be no, but there's some way, somehow, you can work around to get a yes. Then the kids know that, and as long as you don't lose that sight that at some point it might not be exactly what you wanted, but somehow I guess because they see me do it and my wife do it, but they'll bargain all the time. Just 5 more minutes. Oh, well, I'll just do my homework after dinner. All right, well, it's after dinner. Just 5 more minutes on the game. No, let's get homework done. Okay, but I can stay up later after I get my homework done, right? So I can play more of the game. It's always just, it might be no at that point, but at some point you're going to tell me, yeah, you can do that. And they just keep asking. And if you keep asking, something's going to happen in life.
See, that's it. So it doesn't matter about the 40 million no's. Why do we stop?
I don't know.
Do we want it less than a kid wants to play his video game?
On some things, maybe. I mean, you might ask a question and you might be happy with the answer and no, but
or settle for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I talk to people often, and I'm like, man, make sure that you're living your life in a way of the same advice you would give to your kid.
Yep.
You tell them not to quit. You tell them to keep going.
Yep.
That hard work pays off.
Yeah.
Try harder.
Don't give up if you don't get it the first time.
Right?
Yep.
And we lose that conversation to ourselves when we want to give it to them all the time.
Yep. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I know I've heard no a bunch and not giving up, but
yeah, you don't stop. But it's your job and my job. If we're people who aren't going to stop, it's our job to help others, right?
Yep.
Help others believe in themselves to go a little further.
Trying to be role models for little kids that, someone in our community has, they can see you and you're out. Oh, I want to be. Maybe they don't have a role model, but yet you're out and in the community. They could say, I want to be like that person because they're out and part of our community now. So,
but I think, this world's struggling right now. It's weird. There was a very successful and highly followed person on social media. She was on a couple weeks ago, and we just put it out. And she talks about the pandemic of loneliness. And the funny thing is, I'm seeing a lot of the influencers out here talking about loneliness now. And there's a lot of weird stuff going on in the world. Addictions, 100,000 people a year passing away from overdoses. There's a lot. So something's happened in society where adults, we've stopped believing in ourselves the way that we used to believe when we were kids. And so I think we used to say, guys like me and you felt a responsibility to show the next generation, right, of those kids.
Yeah.
But, man, there's something else going on where there's a lot of people in our current generation that for some reason they've lost touch with what they're capable of, that they don't have the limits they're placing on themselves, that they can get through life. So I think there might be an obligation for a guy like you to even do some stuff in the community beyond just the next generation.
Yeah.
You know, just to help these other people that I don't know if they've lost their way. They didn't have mentorship. They didn't have a good mom and dad. These single households suck these days, right?
My sister's got that going on too. So yeah,
It's challenging as hell
Yep.
for them, man.
Yep.
And they're trying to be the mom and the dad. They're trying to work and keep food on the table. They're still trying to enjoy their life a little bit. I think that's really hard as an individual,
Yep.
right?
It is. Anybody that can make it happen, make it work, and I applaud them too. I mean, you might not have chose to be there, but you're not just going to give up. You're going to make sure that your kid has everything that he would have had with a 2-parent household. And I don't know how she does it some days. Some days I'm like, did you take a break today?
Yeah.
Because some days I think she works harder than I do to make sure, that she can provide for both her kids.
Well, I think hard work isn't just physical, right?
No,
I think it's that mental grind. Yeah. So I mean, I think there are days that there's no doubt she's doing all that when you and your wife have each other.
Right.
There's no doubt that her days sometimes are way harder than yours.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's the people I think that we can show up to and just let them know, like, hey, it's worth it. Just keep going. It can get a little bit better.
Yep. And again, being proactive than reactive. My wife and I just, to help us in the morning, we make sure that the kids' backpacks and stuff are by the door and their shoes are right by it. And that way it's not a hunt for shoes in the morning. Like she has to do it by herself because I've been at work for an hour and a half before they get up and start getting ready for school. So anything I can do the night before to help her out is, well appreciated, I'm sure. So just being proactive and trying to get whatever might be ahead, whatever you can see that's ahead of you, let's try to get it. Don't put it off till tomorrow.
Do it now.
Because you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring.
What's going to bring new shit?
Yeah, I mean,
right?
something's going to happen, but we don't know what it is.
Have the sense of urgency to do the stuff now.
Yep. Storm could come through and your refrigerator could go. You don't have any power. What are you going to do then? You got flashlights and batteries, and there's so many things that can happen that can throw everybody's day off.
So do the stuff that's in front of you. Do it now.
Yep. COVID could happen again. What are you going to do?
Well, there's things that are going to happen.
Yep.
See, that's what me and you know.
Yep.
And everybody, they want to put their head in the sand to act like. See, their expectation is, unfortunately, I walk around and see so many people that their expectation when they get up in the morning, they have the expectation that today's going to go right.
Oh yeah.
And then that's what happens when they're on this emotional roller coaster throughout the day. I don't want it to go well. I'm not nervous. I'm not trying to have it not go well. But I realize that through any given day, there's going to be a lot of challenges. And so when that tough thing shows up, like, let's go. Right?
Yep.
I'm not happy about it, but let's go.
Something's going to happen.
Yeah, it is.
It's all on how you deal with it at that point. What's next?
Strengthen your mind.
Yep.
Yeah, surround yourself with good people. Do you have any good friends you hang out with?
I got a group of about 4 or 5 good friends that we've been good friends since probably freshman year of high school. And we hang out, we try our best to get a beer once a month.
You said once a week, Nick.
We try once a week, but then 2 of us have kids, and then one of us is trying to have kids, and it's just everybody's adult life gets crazy. So the realistic is once a month, but if we could get together once a week, sometimes even once a month gets pushed out to once every 3 months. But it's like no matter what happens or how long it's been, even the guys that I guess I have really good friends from college, but I haven't seen, or I might talk to them a few times a year, but no sooner we could all show up somewhere and it's right back to where we were at, living in the dorm playing football together with no problem. But it's dangerous if we all get together. I'll say that.
You snap back to 18 years ago.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
What are things you talk about? What do you do on those nights when you're together with friends? Like, why is that important?
Just I bounce ideas off them for business, and reassuring that they always dude, you're killing it. Don't second guess yourself. And they're killing it. My one buddy, he's in Germany right now for P&G because he's killing it there. And we just reassure each other and say, okay, well, we need to go out and have some fun. And so about the first 10 minutes is like, okay, yeah, we all needed this. And the rest of it's like, let's just have fun, whatever current topics out or sports game, sporting event. We just try to have fun and let loose, because being a dad in business for myself and a husband, not a lot of times you get to just, it's fun, but you don't get to just sit back and crack jokes and goof around with your friends like you did when you were 18, 21 years old.
That's important to do a little bit.
Yeah.
Hit that reset button.
Yep.
Well, hey man, I think that we didn't know each other before today.
No, sir.
I really appreciate that when I meet people in the community, that I talked about in the beginning about the importance of small business.
Yep.
And the importance of entrepreneurial spirit, the importance of being the fabric that ties our communities together. And I don't know exactly what you do, but I know what it takes. And that you continue to lay that down, do it, that you and your wife are raising a couple good boys. I'm confident that with the guy I met today, and you talked about your wife, having her behind you, that you're going to raise a couple other good citizens that are going to come behind you and continue pushing our community forward. So I appreciate, man, that you're doing this stuff and keeping it going. You don't have to.
Might not have to for the good of the world, but I have to for my kids and myself. So again, the good of the world, it matters, but not more than, the good persons I'm trying to build them into being. And at the same time, it's like, I want them to be good people, but the world's not a good place either. So got to make them prepared for that at some point too.
Well, kudos, man. Keep doing what you're doing. We'll keep on spending a few dollars on tasty candies.
Thank you.
And going to papascandies.com.
Yes, sir.
And all your social media. I'm excited too, man. I think you guys can. I'm excited for what you can do on social. It's wild. There's been people that have come through here that social media has completely changed their business.
I think we're headed there, and it's going to do some changing for sure. For the good.
Yeah.
Again, I said when doing the online store, we had talked about it for a couple. I was like, I don't want to do this and bite off more than we can chew on and make sure we're ready for it. And we hit the ground running, and we had all the little aspects planned out. So it's not like, we bit off more than we could chew, and the next day we come in and got 40 orders we don't know how to fill. Like, we had it all set up and ready to go. So it'll come, but it's all slow moving, because we again, there's about 4 or 5 of us that make it happen. And if we got a machine to work on, we're not doing social media, or we're, if we got production going
not
on,
making the video,
we're not doing the fun stuff, as I like to call it. We're working.
Maybe you can find a way, to your point, to get a GoPro and stuff, and just to record the things as you're doing them.
Yeah.
And then use that for some content.
I did find out, for anybody out there in business, that there's a program in Northern Kentucky called Ignite. And I think, from what I understood, I was talking to a friend about it, you can contact them and they will give you high school students for a couple hours a day, and they're not on your payroll, but they're there to learn at whatever field they want to go into, and they help you do that. So
it's an awesome STEM school, man. It's over off of Buttermilk Pike.
Right. I might try to tap into
tremendous.
that once we figure out what we want to do, and have a job for them to do, to take something off of us that we've already been doing. So I did find that out. So that's interesting, and a good resource for the community to have.
Well, let's go, man. We want to see some Papas videos.
We'll make it happen.
All right, bro. Hey, kudos for what you've done, but
it's not stopping. I can't stop yet.
It's cheers to the effort, but then what's to come. So I'm excited for the rest of your guys' 2024 and finding these other ways for you to grow your business and grow your sales and just carry this thing forward. I love these fourth generation business, man. It's special.
It's hard. There's not very many of us out there anymore.
There's not. So take your pink shirt that matches your pink boxed candies and go make more. So if you didn't make them, what's the local place you'd go buy it? Would you stop at a what to go buy it?
If I didn't make them?
Yeah, if you didn't make it and you couldn't take them home from the factory, where would you go to get it? So you live in Ludlow. You're like, man, I got to have some of these candies today. Where would you stop and pick some up for this afternoon if you had to take some home?
Is this candy still being made? I guess.
Yeah.
I'm just not the one making it.
Yeah, correct. So if all of a sudden you're like, I got to go buy it, where would you buy it?
I mean, the closest place to my house in Ludlow is Riverside Market, but anywhere in the area, if you go to a Kroger's, Walgreens, CVS, or sometimes a lot of the mom and pop shops. I mean, LaShavia's down the street carries it too. So I've tried to get as many as possible, but they got to be willing to buy some and taking a risk. I mean, they're taking a risk, but they're also getting a lot of the reward too. So that's probably one of the hardest parts about being a local company is I have to go in and say, hey, these are my products. Do you want to buy them? But I'm trying to get as many places as I can. But if you're farther out of town and can't make it in town, buying online, and I mean, from what I've seen, it's only maybe $5, $7 to get it shipped to your house within $2.75. So it's not terrible.
Are there a lot of places that we can find it within the loop? Like, how far does it stretch up into Cincinnati?
I delivered to Middletown, CVS's, and Walgreens. I don't know. I can't speak for Kroger because it goes to a distribution center for them and they handle that.
Yeah.
But we've been all the way up to Middletown and South Dayton, and then down to Lexington and around the new Circle 4 down there in Lexington. So in Georgetown, Kentucky.
So you're regional for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Go out and find some. It's that time of the year.
Start hunting.
All right, man. I wish you all the luck in the rest of 24 going forward.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in, man.
Thank you.